This is CNN.
The voyage to a potentially better life for Haitian refugees is coming to an end by order of President Bush.
Since you're not forced to serve in the military, should you be forced to pay for it? Protesters say their tax dollars should pay for what they want.
And a Minnesota woman beats 1 in multi-million odds with her 4th consecutive multiple birth.
This is Prime News Sunday on CNN with Andrea Arsenault at CNN Center in Atlanta and David French in Washington.
Good evening. President Bush has given the go-ahead for the Coast Guard to return Haitian refugees to where they came from without taking them to Guantanamo Bay first.
The White House issued a statement to that effect today. CNN military affairs correspondent Wolf Blitzer joins us now with details. Wolf?
Andrea, President Bush's executive order allows the U.S. Coast Guard to pick up Haitian refugees on the high seas and return them directly to Haiti. Until now, the Coast Guard had first brought the Haitians to the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where they had been processed and screened for possible entry into the United States. The new policy is designed to further discourage Haitians from fleeing their country. Of the more than 34,000 Haitians picked up by the Coast Guard since Haitian President Jean-Bertrand Aristide was ousted by the military last September, some 7,000, or 1 in 5, have been allowed to come to the United States. They have been found to have a reasonable fear of political persecution if repatriated. But the bulk of the refugees have been returned to Haiti. Currently at Guantanamo, there are approximately 12,500 Haitians housed in 747 tents put up on a tarmac of an unused runway. The Pentagon says there's no more room for any more until some of those refugees are either repatriated or allowed to come to the United States. The White House says the president was forced to issue the order because of the dangerous and unmanageable situation at Guantanamo and aboard the Coast Guard cutters. It follows another policy change last week when the Coast Guard said it would pick up only those Haitians found to be in a life-threatening situation. The White House statement says that last week alone, 18 Haitians died when their vessel capsized off the Cuban coast. Under current circumstances, the White House says, the safety of Haitians is best assured by remaining in their country. We urge any Haitians who fear persecution to avail themselves of our refugee reprocessing service at our embassy in Port-au-Prince. We are prepared to increase the American embassy staff in Haiti for refugee processing if necessary. The president's decision has outraged human rights activists and members of Congress.
This decision contradicts our most fundamental values as a nation. We are supposed to be a refuge for people fleeing from oppression. And I am shocked that the administration would make such a cruel, callous, and cynical decision, consigning undoubtedly thousands of people to the torture and terror which drove them to leave Haiti in the first place.
The White House says the U.S. will also step up its international efforts to try to find third country locations for the Haitians. In addition, the president has ordered that more humanitarian assistance be provided to Haitians in Haiti. Andrea?
Wolf, what kind of legal battles could this order result in?
The legal question is rather murky, and I know that all week long legal officials within the Bush administration, at the Pentagon, at the State Department, elsewhere, were trying to sort through the legal battle. Namely, the U.S. is signatory to all sorts of international protocols which mandate that refugees be first screened and processed before return to their home countries. The question now comes up, if 1 in 5 of these Haitian refugees over these past months had been qualified to come to the United States and apply for political asylum, if all of the refugees from now on are immediately returned to Haiti, what about the 1 in 5 that the U.S. had earlier thought were qualified to come to the United States? So there will be a legal battle, and I'm sure the administration is bracing for all sorts of suits, probably as early as tomorrow.
All right, Wolf Blitzer reporting live. Thank you, Wolf. David?
The presidential primary campaign stops in 3 states this week. Voters in Arkansas and Kentucky will go to the polls for Democratic and Republican primaries. In Idaho, only Republicans vote in a binding primary. Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton has spent the weekend campaigning in his home state. Today, he said the solution to urban problems begins with strengthening communities with programs like Head Start and business incentives to invest in jobs. Clinton's lone Democratic challenger, Jerry Brown, is on his way from California to Arkansas tonight. Brown has been campaigning in his home state, whose June 2nd primary carries the biggest delegate prize.
Some taxpayers don't like the idea of their tax dollars going into the Pentagon's budget. There's a new bill on Capitol Hill that would give some conscientious objectors a chance to donate some of their taxes to a peace fund. CNN's Jamie McIntyre has more.
Conscientious objectors say while they're not forced to serve in America's all-volunteer military, they are required to pay for it. And they're asking Congress to assign their drafted tax dollars to alternative service.
I can no longer be complicit in a system which spends over half its resources on destruction of human life rather than on enhancement and celebration of life.
At issue, a proposal to allow religious and conscientious objectors, after filing a simple questionnaire, to earmark some of their tax bill for non-military projects. The idea to ensure the percentage of their taxes that would normally go to the Pentagon would go instead to a peace tax fund, a fund overseen not by Congress but by a special board of trustees.
One of the many benefits from enactment of the peace tax fund would be to eliminate a great deal of needless suffering which is imposed by the IRS on people who have taken a stand based on religious conscience, while producing at the same time more revenues for the Treasury.
Our concern is that if you pass this bill, claiming conscientious objector status will be as easy as checking a box on a form.
But the Treasury Department objects on principle.
If we start down the road of allowing every taxpayer a veto over how their tax money is spent, our government just won't work.
Others dismiss the idea as mere symbolism.
If on some people's tax returns they specify, I don't want these dollars used by the Defense Department, it's not going to affect the Defense Department budget. And so it's a feel-good type thing, but it's not a meaningful thing.
But the bill's prime sponsor is convinced it makes economic sense.
Major opposition would be ignorance, people who really haven't thought it through, just who jump to the conclusion that if you're a conscientious objector, you don't pay your taxes. That's not the way the law works. It's just the reverse of that. It's if you prove you're a conscientious objector, you get to pay your taxes.
Supporters of the bill, which was first proposed back when the country was absorbed with the Vietnam War, say it could stand a chance of passage now that the country is obsessed with the economy. If its critics can be convinced, it's a moneymaker. Jamie McIntyre, CNN, Capitol Hill.
And coming up next on Prime News, if twins are double trouble, then there's a family in Minnesota that must experience a lot of headaches. It now has 4 sets of them.
And later, an emotional thanks for the man whose videotape prompted the Rodney King beating trial.
Vietnam veteran bikers roll into Washington. However, all the rowing is not coming from their motorcycles. We'll explain.
And at 55 minutes past the hour, we'll introduce you to a man making beautiful music on 2 continents.
In the early 90s, the real estate business changed.
I've got your financing seminar, 2 closings, and a showing.
Busy day.
Busy morning.
Professionals took control, trained to use the latest marketing tools, responsive to the real human issues.
He's not moving, but we've got a meeting set for tomorrow.
One organization set the pace.
I love this business.
Better Homes and Gardens. Real estate.
That Michael? Yeah. Starts college next year. Those mine. When Mike told me the price of his first choice, I know what you mean. I got this broker at Payne Weber. She put me in a 0 coupon to cover college. Huh. When did she do that? It's got to be 10, 11 years. 10 years ago? How did she know that's what you needed? She asked.
Princess Cruises. It's more than a cruise. It's the Love Boat.
I need a laxative that can work dependably.
Doxadan can.
But can it be gentle?
Doxadan can. Doxadan works dependably overnight with a special ingredient for gentle relief.
Dependable, yes. Gentle, yes.
Doxadan can.
CNN has told you about the population problem in a revealing series critics are praising. Now, CNN Special Reports looks at the challenges and solutions to the global population crisis. The People Bomb, tonight, 9 Eastern on CNN.
It's double trouble, or maybe double pleasure, but it's the fourth time in a row for one mom in Minnesota. 29-year-old Elvira Guillen gave birth last week to her fourth set of twins, and she says each time was a surprise. Mrs. Guillen and her husband, Jesus, have 9 children now, and only the oldest is not a twin. They say they've never used fertility drugs. Their doctor says the odds of having 4 consecutive sets of twins without fertility drugs is 1 in 64 million.
A recent poll indicates getting aids from a doctor or dentist is a big concern among people. The survey of 400 households done by healthcare companies shows the only things patients are more worried about are how much healthcare costs and how qualified are their doctors or dentists. 54% of those questioned say they would look to see if their healthcare provider is complying with federal rules now being implemented. They require healthcare practitioners to wear surgical scrubs, gowns, gloves, and a mask. 29% say they would take compliance for granted. 17% say they wouldn't worry about it. And the new safety rules being put into effect this summer are designed to protect people exposed to blood at work.
On this Memorial Day weekend, parishioners of the First African Methodist Episcopal Church in Los Angeles celebrated a different holiday, George Holiday. He is the amateur cameraman who videotaped the Rodney King beating back in March of 1991. And in a regular Sunday service, Holiday was presented with a plaque for his work. It reads in part, filming the Rodney King event was recording yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Holiday didn't talk to the congregation, but after the ceremony, he said he felt Los Angeles had begun to heal.
I feel so much friendliness here, so much energy, positive energy. It's really nice.
Do you think the healing has begun here in Los Angeles?
I hope so, yes, I think so. This is a side of Los Angeles I hadn't seen before, and it's really hit me home.
It's particularly gratifying that George could be with us, because he felt great pain that so much anguish had come. Now he comes to understand he was a part of salvation history. It had to be. He was the eye of the community, showing us how far we have to go. We thank God for him.
Holiday says the award from this church meant more to him than other awards because of what he describes as the emotion attached to it.
A lack of basic equipment reportedly slowed the response of the Los Angeles Police Department at the beginning of the recent riots in L.A. The Los Angeles Times reported today that the department had trouble getting squad cars, telephones, and radios when the riots started. The Times based its report on transcripts from the city's emergency command center. Police Chief Gerald Gates says the department is hampered by a lack of resources. Well, meanwhile, many business people in South Central Los Angeles are looking for ways to rebuild after the riots. But rebuilding takes time and money, and many people are finding they can afford neither. Patty Panicha reports.
Cheryl Lynn Lee watched her life's work go up in smoke when her nutrition center burned to the ground during the Los Angeles riots.
It's been very difficult trying to pull everything back together, extremely.
Last week, she attended a free seminar to learn how to apply for loans and grants.
If I go to SBA and I'm turned down for my loan, and I'm in the process of getting...
Business owners were given an opportunity to question local government and bank representatives.
Cost of funds, I believe, would be somewhere in the low 4s.
But some weren't hearing the answers they wanted.
We are going to get down to the serious business about economic development and stop the poppycock.
Banks are discerning about who they lend to, although one black-owned bank said differently.
We're in the process of developing a fund that will be outside of the bank so that we can look at the non-traditional types of loans also to lend to those people that don't meet all the different bank criteria.
Applying for loans from the Small Business Administration is a lengthy process.
SBA, we all know what that's about. By the time you qualify for SBA, you may as well go to Fort Knox with a hammer.
And then there is the reality that despite all the talk about rebuilding, some businesses would prefer to leave. Some residents are concerned over the reported possibility that the U.S. military will not be rebuilding its induction center, which was burned to the ground during the riots. It would mean the loss of some 500 jobs. But more importantly, some feel it would send a mixed message to potential investors, the government encouraging others to rebuild while not doing so itself.
They saying one thing and doing another. It's the way it seems to me.
I think the government's just being the government. I don't think they care.
Cheryl Lynn Lee has applied for a $100,000 SBA loan and will probably be approved. But she must now face the fact that she will be $100,000 in debt, whereas before she owed nothing. Patty Panicha for CNN, Los Angeles.
When Prime News returns, change in Thailand. What's next after Prime Minister Suchinda's resignation? And in Israel, a day of violence, anger, and death. We'll have more on those stories and the rest of the day's news after this.
When you travel a lot, one hotel begins to look like another. And it's hard to find a hotel you can always count on. Unless you choose Hampton Inn, the one hotel with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Where if you're not completely satisfied, your night stay is free.
Hi, Mr. Andrews. How was your trip?
At Hampton Inn, you relax in a clean, comfortable new room. So you'll always get a good night's rest and wake refreshed. Guaranteed. Our delicious continental breakfast is always on the house. Local calls are free, and kids stay free too. What's more, you'll find very competitive rates and consistent quality at over 300 Hampton Inns. Call today for this free directory or make reservations now at the one hotel you can always rely on.
See you next trip.
Bye, Mr. Andrews.
Call 1-800-HAMPTON now.
Have you ever wondered how a professional painter can always get such great results? Because no matter what the job, he'll always start off in the exact same place. At a Sherwin-Williams store, there's only one paint that's good, and there's only one place you can get it. The pros know. Ask Sherwin-Williams.
Won't anything stop this itching fast?
Lanacane shuts off every itch, like a switch. Only Lanacane works on contact with itch nerves that cause every itch. Not Benadryl, not hydrocortisone.
Lanacane does shut off the itch, like a switch, fast.
I'm Lauren Sidney. Next week, we'll have a special Memorial Day show featuring in-depth interviews with Tom Cruise, Mel Gibson, Sigourney Weaver, and Alec Baldwin. Also, a preview of the Tony Awards at Showbiz Today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on CNN.
Thailand's unelected prime minister has resigned. Suchinda Prapayun announced his resignation today on national television. No word yet on who might replace him. Suchinda didn't say what he'll do next. Although he's been granted clemency, many Thais want him punished for ordering the military to crush pro-democracy protests last week. CNN's Jim Clancy has more on the situation there.
Thailand's peaceful spirit returns Sunday in the shadows of the temples that line Bangkok's busy streets. Thousands of residents, young and old, came to the place where exactly a week ago army troops opened fire on pro-democracy demonstrators.
Because I want to do something for the people who is there. For me, I don't know what to say, but I feel very sorry for the people who die with that crisis, you know. I feel everybody feeling the same to get the right thing.
A short distance away, several thousand students and workers gathered at the Democracy Monument. Some hoisted wreaths overhead, while others listened to the news of Prime Minister Suchinda Prapayun's resignation. Many thought the resignation was too little, too late.
It's no use because people dying, and who will be responsible to that?
I think we can't let him stay anymore. He can't even stay in the country either. He should go away.
Many of those who line the streets or listen to the news express doubts that Thailand's politicians can match the courage of the demonstrators by taking political power out of the hands of the military. In the Thailand of the present, like the Thailand of the past, the military holds the economic clout to keep the politicians in line, to ensure re-elections, to help fund campaigns. Experts say that economic power was traded for political power, the power to send troops against anyone who would change the system. When asked what the deaths of the demonstrators accomplished, one resident here said simply, democracy. But unless Thailand's military can be brought under the control of its parliament instead of the other way around, real democracy won't come to Thailand. Jim Clancy, CNN, Bangkok.
Shells rained down on Sarajevo today from Serbian units in the surrounding hills, and fierce gun battles between Croatians, Muslims, and ethnic Serbs in Bosnia-Herzegovina brought to 22 the number of people officials say were killed over the weekend. Secretary of State James Baker says the U.S. will seek United Nations sanctions against the new Serbian-led Yugoslavia.
Every attempt at peace has been blocked, and now we are witnessing human suffering on a terrible and massive scale. Colleagues, no longer should the international community tolerate this barbarity and this affront to our collective conscience.
The Serb-dominated Yugoslav army is helping ethnic Serbs in Bosnia fight to keep parts of the republic unified with Yugoslavia. More than 2,200 people have been killed since Muslims and Croatians declared the republic independent in February. European community leaders are currently considering trade sanctions against Belgrade.
Israeli Defense Forces announced today that the borders of the Gaza Strip will be closed for 3 days. That after a day of violence in Israel and the territories it occupies. In Gaza, Palestinians clashed with Israeli troops. They were protesting the deaths of 3 Palestinians who died during an Israeli raid. The 3 were wanted for terrorist activities. An Israeli policeman also died in the raid. Near Tel Aviv, Israelis fought with police after a 15-year-old was stabbed to death by a Palestinian. The crowd shouted death to Arabs and damaged Arab property. Well, just ahead on Prime News, on the eve of Memorial Day, polishing dark memories in honor of America's fallen heroes. And a rolling tribute to those war heroes who never came home. Stay with us.
I'll have a McLean Deluxe and a frozen yogurt.
And I'll have a Big Mac and small fries.
You know, you get the same thing every time. Come on, live a little. They have chef salad, filet of fish, chicken fajitas. Life's too short. Get a mint and get in the game, for Pete's sake.
Okay, I'll have a Big Mac and a large fry.
You're a wild man.
What you want is what you get.
Different tastes for different tastes. That's McDonald's. Today.
Car enthusiasts have helped send the prices of some classic Jaguars to astonishing levels. But the price of one is still very affordable. The 1992 Jaguar XJ6. Introducing the Jaguar Super Lease. At just $525 a month, it's the most attractive lease we've ever offered, making the XJ6 beautiful from every perspective, including the financial one. For your nearest Jaguar dealer, call toll-free.
You're saving money is what it comes down to, and it was easy to do.
She was one of our first friends and family customers.
Finally, a light went off. Gee, MCI must be cheaper.
He took a little longer. Not long after, over 5 million families joined. Now MCI is thanking all of its friends and family customers with double savings. 40% throughout May. Makes us proud. Not only were we the first with the idea, MCI is still the only one with it.
Don't get hit by an annual fee. Carry the card that doesn't charge one. And keep yourself out of the hole. It pays to discover.
Put a luggage cart in a suitcase and what do you get? Samsonite's Piggyback. It's particularly handy on long trips like the one from your car to the ticket counter.
In honor of America's veterans, the National Symphony is performing its 3rd annual Memorial Day concert on the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol.
Don't break my heart, baby, please don't be that way. Ziggy Elman wrote this music.
Playing the music of World War II are some who remember it well. Perry Como, Mel Torme there, and Ossie Davis. Also appearing, singer Leslie Uggams, pianist Roger Williams, the Army Herald Trumpets, the Air Force Honor Guard and Band, the Navy Sea Chanters, and the U.S. Army Chorus with color guards from each of the services.
This national holiday, which honors America's war dead, drew crowds to one of Washington's best-loved monuments. People came and left notes and flowers at the Vietnam War Memorial. The wall of names stirs up deep feelings for the servicemen and women who died in the controversial war. And as Jean Meserve reports, some Vietnam vets today brought attention to a painful, unfinished chapter of that conflict.
Vietnam veterans, tens of thousands of them, thundered into Washington on motorcycles. They were here to make noise about the more than 2,000 U.S. servicemen still unaccounted for in Southeast Asia.
We continue to fly our flags and raise our flags all over the country to remind people that it's not a dead issue. Some of those men are probably still alive over there.
Many veterans are angry that the government they served has failed to do more to resolve MIA and POW cases.
I feel that the politicians are dragging their feet on it. We haven't gotten any answers where our people are that are missing, whether they're still dead, they're alive, where they are. That's it. They're dragging their feet.
A Senate Select Committee made up largely of Vietnam veterans is now gathering and analyzing information from various U.S. agencies and foreign governments, hoping to lay the MIA-POW issue to rest. The committee has interviewed participants in the Paris peace talks to determine if U.S. failure to comply with the peace accords jeopardized efforts to account for missing Americans. It has scrutinized reports of sightings of Americans in Southeast Asia. And the Vietnamese government has given the committee unprecedented access to war records and previously restricted areas.
Vietnam understands that their cooperation on this issue is critical to any hope of improving the bilateral relationship with the United States and their hope for ultimate normalization.
Rob says it has at times been harder to win cooperation from the U.S. government. When it wraps its investigation at the end of the year, almost 20 years after the end of the war, the committee hopes to declassify many of the documents it is using so others can use them to resolve cases.
I find the Senate committee's efforts to be really our very best hope to find answers, and that's what we really seek is answers.
But it is unlikely that there will ever be a full accounting of the men who did not return. And that is hard for the men who did.
Part of me's not here yet. Still emotional. 20 years later, it's still an issue. They're not back, and part of me still isn't back.
Jean Meserve for CNN, Washington.
There's more to come on Prime News just ahead.
It's a feeling that they've been disconnected from the American dream, that if you're growing up in the ghetto, there's no way you can claw your way out.
The frustrations of the ghetto through the eyes of the middle-class black American.
And the ultimate American car race, the Indy 500, roars to the finish.
And racing down the streets of Northern California, the oddest assortment of moving sculptures, but all running on people power.
Coming up in 30 minutes, a look at challenges and solutions to the global population crisis. The People Bomb on CNN.
She was summer. A breeze off the ocean. A day at the beach. A ray of pure sunshine. But I had to dump her. She didn't have HBO. Because this summer, HBO has a lineup so hot, so outrageous, so over the edge, it transcends mere human companionship. Sounds crazy? Get HBO this summer and see for yourself.
state of the natural world. All week long, beginning Monday, May 25th at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
This is CNN.
Checking our top stories at this hour, President Bush has authorized the Coast Guard to return Haitian refugees directly to Haiti after picking them up at sea. A White House statement says refugee camps at Guantanamo Bay are too crowded and becoming dangerous and unmanageable. The new policy is designed to discourage Haitians from making the risky trip and fleeing their country. Civil war in the former Yugoslavian republics has prompted Secretary of State Baker to call for United Nations sanctions against Serbia. He says measures must be taken to stop what he called a truly humanitarian nightmare. European community nations will discuss sanctions on Tuesday. In Thailand, people gathered to mourn the dead from last week's democracy protests and to celebrate the resignation of the unelected prime minister. His opponents are demanding that he be punished for the crackdown.
It's hard to put a price tag on capital punishment, but for California taxpayers, it would have been cheaper to sentence the killer to life in prison. The San Diego Union Tribune looked at the recent case of Robert Alton Harris, the first inmate executed in California in 25 years. The newspaper says the Harris trial, appeals, and execution cost at least $1.7 million. And even with that conservative estimate, it would have been $500,000 cheaper to keep Harris locked up for life.
The violence sparked by the Rodney King verdict reminded the nation that racism hasn't stopped in the United States. No one knows that better than those who face it day in and day out. Rusty Dornan has this report on some middle-class blacks.
An explosion of anger and frustration. The outpouring of rage during the Los Angeles riots may be far from the backyards of some middle-class black Americans, but not from their hearts.
I think it's absolutely wrong, but it's understandable. It's frustration. It's a feeling that they've been disconnected from the American dream, that if you're growing up in the ghetto, there's no way you can claw your way out unless you're an athlete, an entertainer, or a drug dealer.
In the last 20 years, hundreds of thousands of blacks left the inner cities to join the middle class. The number of black lawyers rose from 8,000 in 1972 to 18,000 today. Black engineers grew from 16,000 to 66,000, and the number of black accountants 20 years ago was 19,000. Now it's 110,000. But for many, the so-called glass ceiling is a reality of doing business in America.
Being black, being in business, it is a struggle. It is harder for you to get the things that you need to utilize for your business. You will not be able to easily get a loan.
Part of the American dream to some means moving beyond race as an issue. A dream where the job, the size of the paycheck, and integrity overshadow the color of a person's skin.
But Oakland attorney Valerie Lewis says it's a myth.
But I don't fool myself for 1 minute that in the eyes of many, many people, I'm a black person, and that means I carry a certain number of stereotypes, and that they're going to deal with me accordingly.
30 years ago, racism was a black and white issue. Now, the lines are blurred.
The kind of racism that I face is not the overt kind that you classically would describe as racial practice, but it's the subtle things that can happen to one.
I was on an airline flight with my trial case and got asked if I was a member of the crew. Mind you, I'm standing with my ticket in my hand.
The Los Angeles riots triggered emotions in most anyone who watched, but black middle-class Americans felt a special pain.
One of the things that we're going to have to stop doing is burning our own neighborhoods down, because that's not doing anything but hurting us.
Black Americans who make it often say it's expected for them to give back to their culture, to help other minorities.
We as a people have to get our arms around this problem too and be the most proactive one. The government is not going to solve all of this.
Now, following the Rodney King verdict and the violence, some say it's imperative. Rusty Dornan for CNN, San Francisco.
Well, a Memorial Day tradition has come to the end in the world of sports. Bob Lorenz joins us now with details. Bob.
76th time they've done this one, Andrea. Al Unser Jr. watched his dad win the Indy 500 4 times, but he never spent a single moment in victory lane during any of those wins. Little Al didn't wait around for Dad to get back there. He won at Indy today and made the trip to the hallowed lane himself. We'll pick this up early on in the race. Lap 80, Mario Andretti spins and hits the wall almost head-on in turn 4. He suffered some foot injuries and was taken to the hospital. The track doctor said there were no serious injuries today. That's the good news. Then with 10 laps to go late in the race, Michael Andretti in the lead had his car stall on the backstretch. That put Al Unser Jr. in the lead. Final charge, we'll see Unser Jr. and Scott Goodyear, who would come all the way from the final spot in the field, battle to the checkered flag, and it's Unser winning by less than a car length to become the first ever second-generation winner of the Indy 500. He wins his first, making it 8 for the Unser clan in all. His average speed of little more than 134 miles per hour was the slowest since 1958, but 13 yellow flags and the cool conditions had something to do with that. Unser Jr. was one of the lucky who steered clear of all the trouble.
The Indy 500 is our biggest crown jewel, and to win it is awesome, but just to be in it and qualify is awesome within itself, and I've been fortunate enough to do that ever since '83, and you know, winning it's icing on the cake. It's just great.
Rookie Lynn St. James, the second woman to compete at Indy ever, made it through the race and finished 193 laps, good enough for an 11th place finish. We'll have more sports for you in just a moment. Stay with us.
This sports update brought to you by Homelight. Lawn equipment with the power to do the job right. Do it right. Do it Homelight.
Not that old lawn equipment again.
Last year he nearly jerked me up by the roots.
Wait a minute. All new Homelight equipment.
I told you he knows a great value when he sees one.
Look, it's a Homelight blower and a string trimmer.
Yes.
A Homelight hedge trimmer and chainsaw and a new Homelight mulching mower.
I love it when he gets environmental.
Just a little off the top, please. Do it right. Do it Homelight. Enter the Homelight Hot Hoop Sweepstakes. You could win a trip to the 1993 All-Star Game.
They're tiny portraits of a people. With personalities as varied as our own. They sing of our heroes, echo with our history. They fascinate us with exquisite detail. For some, they're miniature masterpieces. Others just think they're pretty. There are as many reasons to love stamps as there are people who love them. These are stamps worth saving. Ask for the baseball stamp at your post office now.
The land, the sea, the air. Is the Earth an endangered planet? CNN's Larry Woods looks at global issues facing the Rio Environmental Summit in a 5-part series on Prime News beginning Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern on CNN.
Welcome back to the NBA now, and more Malone madness has lifted the Utah Jazz into a tie with Portland in the Western Conference Final. Karl Malone and Jeff Malone, no relation, but they were joined at the hoop today as they shot the lights out at the Delta Center. And you knew the place would be jumping with the Jazz given a chance to get back into it. Early on, John Stockton will take it off the backboard to Karl Malone for the jumper. The mailman with 33 points. He did deliver. Jazz up by 1 early. Later, they build their lead. Malone with the steal. Over to Stockton, who gives it back to Malone. And the business is done. Jazz by 8 at the half. However, Portland would get back into it. Late going, Terry Porter pulls up outside, nails the 3 over Stockton. He had 34 to lead the Blazers. They were down by just 1. But late in the game, Jeff Malone works free, fades it away from the baseline. 28 for Jeff Malone. The Jazz led it by 9. They win 121-112. The series tied at 2. They'll resume it Tuesday in Portland. Well, a new flock of birds have moved into the nest atop the American League East. The Blue Jays flew the coop today after being defeathered by Chicago. This one going on at Comiskey Park. Jack Morris, shortest outing of the season. The White Sox scored 2 in the first, second, and third off of Jack. There's Tim Raines sending one into the corner. Craig Graybeck, who had just doubled, will score as the White Sox cruised over the Jays. The final was 8-1 today. In Baltimore, the Orioles' Brady Anderson snapped an 0-for-9 streak, steps up and delivers one of his 3 hits off Chuck Finley. 5th inning, this is a solo home run as the Orioles won 6-4 over the Angels and moved into first place in the East over Toronto by a half game. Let's go to the National League now, and St. Louis facing Houston. Al Osuna, 9th inning, 1 out, can't close the deal. Tom Pagnozzi with the game tied at 3, sends one over the wall in left field. That will snap the tie, lift the Cards to a victory. They assume the lead in the East because the Pirates lost to the Dodgers. By the way, Pittsburgh has lost 7 of its last 8 games. We'll have a full recap of that game and the entire day in sports at 11 o'clock Eastern. Vanner Wright and I will be around, so just join us then. Right now, though, we've got all the Major League scores ready to roll across your screen.
If you like to shake, rattle, and roll, there's a race in California that's a lot more fun than an earthquake. The World Championship Great Arcata to Ferndale cross-country kinetic sculpture race is open to anything that moves. But what, you may ask, is a kinetic sculpture? Well, it's a work of art and a people-powered all-terrain vehicle rolled into one. The 3-day, 38-mile race ends Monday with prizes for the most artistic and best engineered vehicles.
For the next week or so, Alaska's Copper River Delta will be a bird watcher's paradise. Millions of shorebirds, about 40 different kinds, are migrating north. And as Laura Bliss reports, ornithologists and bird lovers are flocking to watch them.
Okay, off we go.
For the past few weeks, these biologists with the U.S. Forest Service have been getting up at 5 in the morning to do a head count on Alaska's Copper River Delta. This is like a 700,000-acre buffet for more than 40 species of birds that swoop through here in giant waves. Most of them are western sandpipers on their way north from South America. This year, the migration is being tracked from the air. About 80 birds were outfitted with radio transmitters when they passed through San Francisco. Researchers think if they can figure out how fast the birds are making it to each rest stop along the way, they'll be able to get a better idea of how many birds are making the trip.
Some of those birds from San Francisco were making it up to the Stikine River Delta in a day, so my guess is 50, 60 miles an hour. Depends. With a good tailwind, they're probably really hoofing it, getting up here quickly.
Some other biologists are doing their work with nets. This team from the University of Washington is trying to find out more about the eating patterns of sandpipers.
Okay, 24 and a half.
The birds get weighed, measured, and blown on.
These birds are really fat. I'm doing these fat score stuff. When I blow on them, you can see the fat actually underneath the skin collected there. And these birds all have sort of at the high end of the scores on a scale of 5. They're 4s and 5s.
Finally, they get banded.
Okay, so let me give you color combo on that one.
These researchers plan to follow the birds back down the coast of California, but they won't have to wait too long for the return trip. With Alaska's short summers, the fall migration for these birds begins in July. On the Copper River Delta, this is Laura Bliss for CNN.
Well, anything migrating south at this time of the year will probably find it to be quite warm. Ted Texter joins us with weather. Ted?
Andrea, the southern tier of the nation really in the hot stuff, and stormy too back to the south and central United States, southwestern U.S., Arizona, southern parts of New Mexico, south and east, western Texas. It's been the same rhyme through the past couple of days with flooding problems there, severe thunderstorms, and possibly some tornadoes as well. Also now, east of there, through the western sections of the Gulf region, more storms beginning to fire on off. Frontal system now that's sweeping into the south and eastern United States, bringing with it much cooler conditions, is still touching off storms as well through the Tennessee River Valley, further south central sections of the Gulf. Mid-Atlantic states, more in the way of rain, back behind at the same time. 41 degrees last hour we checked in Chicago, and a little breezy there too. So really a big chill off back to this part of the country. Across the plains into the upper Midwest, more rain. Now, throughout the day tomorrow, this is what you can expect. Forecast temperature map shows a front, again down through the Gulf region, making some scattered shower activity there. Back westward now, the real bulk of moisture is starting to push up into the north. Mississippi River Valley, northern and central parts will see heavier rains through the day tomorrow. Ontario, maybe even just a little bit of snow there. And back through the Rockies, you'll see a scattering of showers, rain showers, although it'll be warm back here and cool there. Well, what about the start of the work week? I know we don't want to talk about it yet, but we must. So stay tuned. After these messages, we'll have those details for you.
Here's something you should know. Athlete's foot fungus grows beneath the surface of your skin. So to cure it, you've got to get down to the root of the problem, to the source of that burning and itching. You need Mycotin.
Mycotin penetrates the surface of your skin with miconazole to cure athlete's foot where it grows.
Oh, thanks.
So why treat just the surface?
Get down to the cure. Step up to the mic. Mycotin.
Today, millions of Miracle-Gro gardeners are getting wonderful results with this amazing invention, the Miracle-Gro No-Clog Garden Feeder. It's the fastest, easiest feeder I've ever used. Well, now you can use it to feed your lawn, because now there's Miracle-Gro Lawn Food. It makes lawn care so easy. Just drop in and spray on. You'll feed your whole lawn in minutes. You'll see lush green results in days. Stern's Miracle-Gro Lawn Food for a Miracle-Gro lawn you'll be proud of.
This is a remarkable chemical called Thomblin. Thomblin's protective properties are critical to the space shuttle. And now that same protection is available for your car's finish. Introducing Autofoam with Thomblin from Blue Coral. Gas, acid rain, and road salt destroy traditional products, but Autofoam literally repels them, and all with the brightest shine you've ever seen, especially for today's clear coat finishes. Thomblin protects the world's most expensive vehicles. Imagine what Autofoam can do for yours.
CNN has told you about the population problem in a revealing series critics are praising. Now, CNN Special Reports looks at the challenges and solutions to the global population crisis. The People Bomb, tonight, 9 Eastern on CNN.
Into tomorrow evening, let me show you now where the rains will be. Mid-Atlantic states, scattered showers down into the Gulf. The big batch of rain will be in this green shaded area. Upper Midwest, Mississippi River Valley, further south and westward into the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. Within this area, you have at least a 50-50 chance of rain, probably better than that. And then scattered showers further westward, on up to the north too. Northern high plains mainly in the clear. Tuesday morning, this is your work week. At least it starts a little later this week. The showers begin to dry up, so I've got more good news for you. It looks like, though, we're still going to see rain showers mid-Mississippi River Valley, northern parts of the Gulf region, into the mid-Atlantic states. Still the showers continuing there, and back in the west, where rain is needed in the north and western United States, at least in spots, we have a chance for some showers. It looks like it's going to dry up in the south and western United States, so a calm beginning to the work week. Now these forecasts for cities around the nation for your holiday Monday. Rains tomorrow. I hope you can enjoy your picnic inside. Now here's David French.
I love that Atlanta Studio Orchestra. From the Philippines, a tale of single parenthood. The Department of Health may deny maternity leave to one of its nurses, even though the 32-year-old is 6 months pregnant. The problem, the pregnant nurse is a man. Doctors confirm a hermaphrodite nicknamed Carlo, who has both male and female organs, is carrying a baby in his womb. But local law forbids men from taking maternity leave. There's another snag. Carlo wants to marry his lover, but his church will not let him marry a man.
Researchers in Florida are working on a test for skin cancer. It's based on scientific evidence that sunlight damages the immune system of those most prone to skin cancer. In our News for Medicine segment, CNN's Dan Rutz takes a look at this study in the Sunshine State.
The effects of the sun can be as evident as a lobster red burn, or as subtle as the change of microscopic cells deep within the skin.
The reaction now has spread to a relatively extensive area, meaning that you have a very vigorous allergy to the chemical that we applied to your forearm a number of days ago.
University of Miami researchers apply a mild irritant to the skin of volunteers. It's a way to measure the immune system at work. Dr. Wayne Stryland finds ultraviolet light, the same rays that cause sunburn and other skin damage, can also impair the immune systems of some people and increase their risk of skin cancer.
In normal individuals, the frequency of susceptibility to this effect of ultraviolet light is approximately 35 to 40%. If, however, we examine patients who have been known to have skin cancer, almost 100% of those individuals are susceptible to this effect of ultraviolet light.
Now I'm just going to expose your buttocks to this UVB irradiation.
Researchers focus ultraviolet light on parts of the body where the sun doesn't shine, then paint on the chemical irritant. If no rash appears, doctors assume the ultraviolet light has damaged the immune system.
And as you can see, he's had lots of difficulties with skin cancer in the past.
The test shows Alfred Miller's immune system is susceptible to UV radiation. The dozens of skin cancers he's had through the years confirm his vulnerability.
The skin cancer itself has changed my behavior. I constantly use the pre-sun every day, even if I don't go outside.
James Payne is more fortunate. His test shows UV does not apparently harm his immune system.
Well, even though we've shown you that you're resistant to the effects of ultraviolet light, it doesn't mean that ultraviolet light won't produce some aging.
Well, it hasn't changed anything in my life. I was born and raised here in South Florida, and I'm not in a state out of the sun.
That attitude bothers doctors who point out that the sun has other damaging effects that can lead to skin cancer.
It would be nice if there was a simple test that would say this person is susceptible and this person is resistant to sun exposure. But I don't think that's the whole issue. I think the real issue is behavior.
The researchers hope to devise a practical version of the test to alert those whose skin cancer risk is especially high, without instilling false confidence in everyone else. Dan Rutz, CNN Medical News.
News from Medicine is brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb Company, makers of Bufferin. For strong aspirin pain relief, discover the strength of Bufferin.
Boy, this couch weighs a ton. Where does it go, Miss Lansbury?
Oh, right there, please. Wow. If I lifted that, I'd need Bufferin for the aches and pains afterwards.
You really believe in Bufferin?
I certainly do.
It's strong, huh?
Extra strength Bufferin has the strongest dosage of aspirin that you can buy. And I've discovered that the buffers don't weaken it. They just help prevent aspirin stomach upset.
Shouldn't you discover the strength of Bufferin?
And for nighttime aches, pains, and sleeplessness, try Bufferin AF Nighttime. It's aspirin-free.
In Canada, the government pays the medical bills for everyone. Could this approach work in the United States, where millions of Americans have no health insurance at all? CNN looks at the controversy. Canada, healing or hurting, beginning 8 p.m. Eastern Monday.
If you're tired of hunting for your vacuum cleaner's attachments, get the new Dirt Devil Upright. It's lightweight, easy to use, and all the attachments are built right into the vacuum, so you can clean everything from floor to ceiling and edge to edge without stopping to find a thing. And because it's a Dirt Devil, it's packed with plenty of cleaning power. So stop hunting for your attachments. Get the new Dirt Devil Upright, the all-in-one cleaner that cleans it all.
At 84 Lumber, we still believe in the American dream. So we've developed a way to make building your own home an affordable reality. 84 affordable homes across America, the most complete home building package on the market. Priced from $39.9 to $69.9. Now is the time to build. Our team of home specialists will work with you from start to finish. Begin today by visiting an 84 Lumber near you or call 1-800-359-8484.
It's the Sacramento Jazz Jubilee in California, a 4-day international music celebration being played in 40 locations around the city. More than 85,000 people bought passes for the festival's opening day. Organizers had been hoping for 100,000 people a day, but the Dixieland-style music was every bit as hot as the weather. Temperatures, 98 degrees. More than 120 bands are expected to take part, including about a dozen from Europe.
New York has imported a German cultural and political hero thanks to the fall of the Berlin Wall. His arrival heralds a new era at the New York Philharmonic and ushers out an old one in the former East Germany. CNN's Gary Tuckman reports.
He's a musical hero on two continents. His name is Kurt Masur, and his ascendancy to the music director's position of the 150-year-old New York Philharmonic has followed no ordinary path. He was and still is the music director of the Gewandhaus, the symphony orchestra in his hometown of Leipzig, Germany, a city that was a hotbed of pro-democracy protests when it was part of East Germany. Masur was a leader in the East German democracy movement. Demonstrators carried banners thanking Masur, and the possibility was real that he could have become president of East Germany in the country's final months. But conducting orchestras is his life, not conducting political discourse.
My profession is much too beautiful, makes too much sense, and to be a politician must not be a pleasure always.
But there were other big changes that would take place in his life. The New York Philharmonic came calling, and last fall, the German musical and political hero came to the Big Apple.
He's brought them a sense of cohesion, of unity, of dedication. He's revived their interest in making good music.
He's a man with vision. He's a man who sees what needs to be done and makes that happen.
The cities of Leipzig and New York are very different places, but one particular thing they have in common makes Kurt Masur feel right at home when he's in the U.S.
I'm always asked in both parts of the world, how do you feel? Is it different in Europe and different in America? So human beings are not so different, and special music lovers are not different.
And when it comes right down to it, that's what Kurt Masur is, a music lover, who now leads two magnificent orchestras, one in the old world and one in the new. Gary Tuckman, CNN, New York.
That does it for Prime News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andrea Arsenault at the CNN Center in Atlanta.
I'm David French in Washington. Coming up next, a CNN special report, Challenges for the Future. Stay with us.
Coming up next, a look at challenges and solutions to the global population crisis, the people bomb. Next on CNN.
We can really get the Toyota we want.
Yes!
And a great